They say America is the land of opportunity. But what if I told you that opportunity was only ever meant for a select few? What if I told you the American dream was never designed to lift you up, but to keep you down just high enough to hope and just low enough to obey? Since 1776, while fireworks lit the skies and speeches praised freedom, a different kind of architecture was being laid down, a system built by elites, for elites, to keep you working, struggling, obeying. And worst of all, they made you believe it was your fault. Let's tear the mask off the American system and expose how this country was engineered from the very beginning to keep you poor. This is not a conspiracy theory. This is documented history they never taught you in school. So hit that like button if you've ever felt like the system was rigged. And subscribe, because this video will expose the blueprint that was never meant for your freedom, but your control. Let's begin. In 1776, the United States declared independence from Britain. But who were the people writing that declaration? We call them founding fathers, but they were primarily wealthy, white, male landowners, lawyers, bankers, slaveholders, merchants, all invested in one thing: protecting property and capital. They spoke of liberty and justice, but those words didn't apply to women, or the poor, or black people, or Native Americans. In fact, many of these men were terrified of the poor. They feared rebellion, uprising, redistribution. So they created a constitution that prioritized property rights over human rights. You couldn't even vote unless you owned land in many early states. The system was designed from day one to secure the wealth of a few by containing the rest. When slavery officially ended, a new mechanism of control was needed. Enter wage labor. The Industrial Revolution changed everything. Machines needed operators, factories needed bodies, and the ruling class needed a way to get millions of Americans to accept lives of repetitive, underpaid, soul-crushing work without rebellion. So they sold you a dream. Work hard, follow the rules, and maybe, just maybe, you'll make it. But here's what they never said out loud: they never intended for you to make it. The public education system, introduced in the 19th century, wasn't built to teach freedom or creativity. It was modeled after Prussian obedience schools, designed to create workers, not thinkers. Why do you think the school bell rings like a factory shift? Why do you sit in rows, raise your hand for permission, memorize instead of question? Because you were being trained, not educated. From childhood, you were conditioned to obey authority, fear mistakes, and trade freedom for structure. And then, just when you were old enough to dream big, they hit you with the ultimate trap: student debt. They told you college was the only path to success, but forgot to mention the price tag would haunt you for decades. America has over $1.7 trillion in student debt. An entire generation started life in a financial pit before they even earned a dollar. And then came the second layer of the trap: consumer credit. Credit cards, auto loans, buy now, pay later schemes. They made it feel like wealth was within reach. But the fine print guaranteed one thing: your paycheck would never be yours. Let's talk about wages. Since the 1970s, American worker productivity has doubled, but real wages barely moved. CEOs used to make 20 times what their workers made. Now, it's 300 times. While you work 2 jobs just to survive, they're buying their 3rd yacht. Where did your raise go? To stock buybacks, to executive bonuses, to overseas tax shelters. And while you struggle to pay rent, the top 1% rakes in profits off your labor. And that's not an accident. That's the plan. Because America's economic system isn't based on value creation anymore. It's based on wealth extraction. Big banks don't lend to small businesses anymore. They lend to hedge funds who buy up neighborhoods, then rent them back to you at double the cost. Pharmaceutical companies don't want you cured. They want you dependent on subscriptions, pills, procedures. Insurance companies profit when you're afraid, and colleges profit when you believe your future depends on a piece of paper. And looming over it all, the Federal Reserve, a private banking institution not owned by the people or the government, but by shareholders. They control interest rates, they control inflation, and they print money whenever they want, while your paycheck buys less every year. Your $100,000 today buys what $600 did 2 decades ago. That's not inflation, that's theft. And the taxes, oh, they'll take those too. While billionaires pay zero or hide their wealth offshore, you're taxed on every hour you work, every dollar you earn, and even your death. Think about that. You die, and they still want to cut. Now let's talk about real estate. The so-called American dream: home ownership was once affordable, but now it's a rigged game. Zoning laws keep housing supply low. Banks redlined black neighborhoods for decades, then rebranded it as gentrification. Today, private equity firms are buying entire communities, turning homes into corporate assets, and turning families into permanent renters. Because owners have power, renters have none. And who set all this up? Lobbyists, corporations, politicians funded by the same billionaires who profit from your poverty. The minimum wage hasn't kept up with inflation, but Wall Street bonuses keep growing. Healthcare costs are the highest in the world, and yet 500,000 Americans go bankrupt every year just from medical bills. Meanwhile, you're told to skip coffee, hustle harder, and start a side hustle. But the truth is, this was never about your choices. It was always about their design, a system where your exhaustion is profit, where your confusion is control, where your poverty is policy. And the cruelest part, they made you blame yourself. You didn't work hard enough. You made bad decisions. You're lazy, irresponsible. But how do you save money when rent eats half your income? How do you invest in your future when your present is drowning in debt? How do you build wealth when you were never taught how money actually works? They never wanted you to know, because once you understand money, you understand power. And once you understand power, you stop obeying. You stop buying what they sell. You stop working for crumbs. You stop voting for puppets. You start demanding more. And that terrifies them, because their system only works as long as you stay asleep. But now you're awake. And the truth is no longer a secret. You were never poor because of who you are. You were poor because of what they built. But here's the good news: systems can be exposed. Designs can be rewritten. And empires built on lies eventually collapse. So stop blaming yourself. Start learning. Start questioning. Start organizing. Start owning. Because the revolution won't be televised. It'll be demonetized, debanked, shadow banned, discredited. But it will be real, and it will start with the truth. So if you feel this in your bones, if this system has drained your energy, your money, your dreams, hit that like button. Drop a comment, I see it now, and subscribe to Ancient Light for more untold truths about the systems that built our world. Because this isn't just history. It's your present. It's your future. And it's time you took it back.